We get a reputation for being too quiet or too humble, or like, how do we compete with the US?
Even though I'm a CEO right now, I'm a CEO engineer because I love fixing problems.
The amount of support one gets for tech startup and tech companies and innovation is unparalleled.
Welcome to Tech After Hours.
So let's see, what question am I going to get? What is a piece of tech and app that you can't live without? Well, I definitely cannot live without my phone. I know that's a normal answer, but I am connected to my phone. I have two phones and I'm using all of them at the same time. So that's my piece of tech I cannot live without.
I think actually my Apple Watch. Other brands are available.
Yeah.
But for me, having a smartwatch is so important for tracking my goals. So I have quarterly goals and I have my KPIs, and a lot of the health stuff I'm looking at weekly to make sure I'm doing things like getting enough sleep and getting my exercise hours.
You sleep with it?
I sleep with it and everything. Yeah, so I like having quarterly goals, weekly goals, and clear KPIs that I can break down. So anything that's giving me extra data, I'm really fascinated by it. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of without it as well.
So no, my phone, absolutely, because so many things are going on. I need to stay in touch. So email and LinkedIn to meet people and grow. Yeah,
yes.
It's fun.
Yeah. Can you describe the UK tech industry in one word?
Innovative. I'm as a startup, we're 2 years old. I've met so many companies with really cool technology. There's so many accelerators and support from the government to help encourage innovation. So I would say innovative.
I'll say supportive, extremely supportive, unbelievably supportive. I actually came to the UK as part of the Global Entrepreneurship Program, and I found that the amount of support one gets for tech startup and tech companies and innovation is unparalleled in any other place that I've actually done business in.
I love that, and I definitely recognise both the collaboration point within our community as well,
yes.
And of course the innovation, particularly with a really strong kind of academic ecosystems. I think I want to say something like ambitious or hungry. I actually think often as a tech industry, we get a reputation for being too quiet or too humble, or how do we compete with the US?
Very British.
Very British, but I don't think that's the case at all. From the entrepreneurs that I meet and interact with, we're super ambitious. Maybe we communicate in a different way, but I think we're pretty bolshy.
What's a piece of tech that's been a game changer?
Something that happened a long time ago that became a standard. It's the TCP and IP protocols. Effectively, that changed the world.
Yeah.
Fundamentally changed the world. And it created a standardization across networks and just created this interconnection of information that we all are now sharing. So to me, that was such a massive game changer.
Yeah. Piece of tech that changed the world. I think it goes back beyond my lifetime, but just simply the silicon microprocessor, right? If you look at it, it's absolutely everywhere around us. So we were able to put things on the moon with less power than what's in our phones, in our pockets today. I think there's something that's truly gone through Moore's law. And now as we move to second generation compute with things like quantum, that's only going to happen again.
I want to say the internet. That's not exactly a piece of tech.
Yes.
But when I was in university, when I started university, there wasn't the internet, and I remember, my first computer was a screaming fast 150 megahertz CPU, just crawling slow, and it would connect to the internet. But the fact that we could, and then see all of the industries that have come off the back of that, and just the connectivity. So, a piece of tech, I guess that's not. You can't really say the internet is a piece of tech.
I think you can.
It kind of ties in both of yours as well.
Yes.
But, I think that's absolutely changed the world.
What was the first piece of technology you ever bought?
A Walkman.
A Walkman?
Like a Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
Tape player. Yeah, a cassette player was the first things.
Yeah, I think mine was a Tamagotchi.
Ah, okay. Yes, I remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't buy one of those. That was given to me. The first one I actually used my own money was a Walkman.
Wow. Yeah, the first one I actually used my own money for and saved was something called a Spectrum computer.
That was the first thing you bought?
On my own money, right, that I saved up and bought my own money was a Spectrum computer. It was you connected it to your TV, and it had a magnetic music tapes.
Yeah.
And that's where you stored your programs. It allowed simple basic, where you could write basic code.
Yeah.
And it had a whopping 32 kilobytes of ROM. And it was better than the Commodore 64 because the Commodore 64 had another 32 kilobytes of RAM.
Yeah.
And this one had 48 kilobytes of RAM.
It's amazing that you remember that because it was so special, right? That thing that you
was like my thing. And I learned to code on this thing, and that's where my love for computers just came out of that.
You can tell. I love how proud you are of that.
Yeah, that's
so cool. Like my Tamagotchi died.
What do you love most about working in the industry? I love talking to people. I absolutely, and I love my business. So I love talking about my business and meeting people and learning new tech. I'm an engineer. I'll always, even though I'm a CEO right now, I'm a CEO engineer because I love fixing problems and learning things, constantly learning and growing. So being in the tech industry lets me do that. So that's my favorite part about the job.
Working in quantum computing is such a privilege to have the opportunity to shape, right, an entire industry and to truly do something that is so cutting edge, so high impact. And I think there's so few opportunities that you would ever get in life to be able to change the world.
And you're at the forefront of it.
And we get to do that every single day. And I love that.
What I love about this industry is at the rate at which it is constantly changing.
Yeah.
What fascinates me about it is every day is a learning opportunity. It's an industry where you can never say, I know everything or I've become an expert. And you actually have to unlearn some of the things you've already learned and relearn. You know, and what I also love about it is the young people that are emerging and they've got these tool sets. You know, it used to take us like weeks to write a program to do something very simple. Now, within 5 minutes, it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, and now with AI technology, which also helps with the generative code and things like that, the speed at which things are that people can do amazing things that is just incredible.
Yeah.
But for me, if I wish I didn't have to sleep. Well, sometimes I don't, but I wish I didn't have to sleep because it's an industry that is just so many things happening all the time. Yeah. What's that song? I think it's by Aerosmith. I don't want to miss a thing.
Oh, right.
Right?
No.
There are some fundamental tech leaders in the world. It started with people like Madame Curie and, really game-changing women that did blazing stuff in the tech world. We have two wonderful women here that are doing also amazing things in the tech industry. And every girl child out there, every woman out there, do not shy away from science, technology, or any of the STEM subjects. Go and embrace it.
One thing that I would like to point out is that with women and men do actually think differently. That we approach problems in different ways. And they're both viable. They can both coexist. And I think so having teams made up of men and women is very powerful because the more ideas you have coming to the table, the faster you can make things move. So, just because if you're in a room with a bunch of men and you're thinking about the problem differently, that's great. That's amazing. That's exactly where you need to be. So that's what, be proud about that and run with it.
The more you feel uncomfortable, the more you lean into that and be like, I'm pushing myself. If I'm uncomfortable, if I now use my voice, that's the point that really makes the difference. So if you can take those little steps.
You said women are just as good as men in the technology field. Let's change that a little bit and let's say men are just as good as women in the tech field. How about that?
I'm American. I want a high five here.
You can do a high five across.
Okay. I got it in.
Thanks. You've been watching Tech After Hours.